maybe this wasn't such a good idea. How heartening it is to see that a slasher is so aware that its quality is pretty much in the shitter. I'm John Renton with the retro review of Friday the 13th Part 3 from 1982, over 40 years ago. Part 3 came out and Jason got the iconic hockey mask. It was in 3D! And that was about it. That was really about it for any of the good qualities, I guess you could say. In all honesty, while the series would absolutely go downhill by the time we got to Part 6, Part 7, Jason Takes Manhattan, Jason Goes to Hell, Part 3 was showing that even though he got the hockey mask and a couple cool little tropes that would be carried on through the rest of the series happened here, yeah, it was following the same beats and unfortunately wasn't exactly something that was setting the benchmark for the series going forward. Then we would get the final chapter, then we would get Part 5, we get a whole bunch of other stuff, and you know, the more I look back on some of these movies, the less I think of them. Now, there were a couple funny moments, a couple decent deaths, and it did come to us from director Steve Miner, who did House, Warlock, Friday the 13th Part 2. He also did Forever Young. He wants to be forever young, and then Mel Gibson will hate Jews forever while he's forever, forever young. Not going to forget that about Mel Gibson because it was so goddamn egregiously offensive. Also, My Father the Hero and Halloween H2O that I recently retro-reviewed. Check that out. So yeah, 2 people wrote this. It took 2 people to write this movie. And while I'm always happy people get work, my God, the fact that 2 people had to write this, I think one was blackout drunk and they said, hey, I'll take over this and this is really bad. I'm going to drink and okay, I'm waking up out of my stupor and what? Okay, that seems like a good death. Let's write that down. Martin Kit Rosser, who did Friday the 13th, Final Chapter, and also Carol Watson, who also did Friday the 13th, the Final Chapter. They did a couple other things. You can check out their IMDb pages for the full list of their work. This stars Dana Kamel, or Dana Kamel as it were. Dana! It's like Danimals. She plays Chris, who basically is the final girl. And then there's her significant other, Rick, her on-again, off-again significant other, Rick, Paul Krakta. And, you know, it's weird how Rick, and this is not even knocking the actor, but he looks at least 15 years older than her, and apparently it was only a 4-year age difference. He was just a few years older than her. And then you have Debbie Tracy Savage, dig it! And then Richard Broker played Jason. So from there, we have a Friday the 13th horror movie that is taking place near Camp Crystal Lake. And it's in 3D! You know that because you get a yo-yo in your face, you get people juggling fruit, you get weapons that are shoved right in the goddamn camera. This does not look like a weapon being shoved into the camera. I'm just going to roll with it. So let's just go with that. Yeah, Jason attacks again, and from there, we have another Jason movie. Look, the first one was not necessarily the best, but at least had a halfway decent story, and Jason's mother. That was kind of a cool twist, and then you had the burlap sack. You had Jason's, uncircumcised sack all over his face. And then the hockey mask here. And I swear it was taking place basically in the same, almost around the same goddamn time as the second one because it just, all these sets started to look the same. Yes, the movies were cheap. It was made for $2.3 million, which would be $7.3 million today. That was the budget. The opening was a stellar $9.4 million. And I say stellar because even if the movie stopped right there, it was very, very successful. That'd be around $30 million in today's money. The gross was 36.6, which would be $116.4 million. So there was still a market for it. I mean, honestly, even with 1980, 81 already being kind of overly saturated with all these slasher movies, and the fact that when Halloween was so successful, they decided, we're just going to make more and more and more. And this is right after Halloween 2 was not very good, in all honesty. So, yeah, fun fact. Amy Steele, who played Jenny in the second one, was going to apparently return. And she was going to be kind of all crazed after the, events of the second movie. But she had other projects. And she said in interviews, in hindsight, she should have taken this. I think she probably did a better, better thing with her career not taking this, because all due respect to the Jason movies, while they were never incredibly well written, besides a couple death scenes, this is absolute shit. So we get literally 5 minutes of the end of the first movie to start this. And I know that that is something that some slasher movies have done, but good grief. Jason did not die. The 3D credits are ridiculous. I mean, just ridiculous. But then again, I mean, it was a technology back then. I did like that the convenience store was also a laundromat and also a place of residence. And also there was a giant rabbit. Hold the giant rabbit underneath its legs and hold it like this. Just hold it and pet it. And don't call it George. Just hold it. I've had 3 pet rabbits. You hold them like children. Also, rabbits are better than children because rabbits just, run around like crazy, but eventually flop down and sleep and then shit in their cage. They don't just shit all over the place like children. So anyway, at one point, Jason shows up with a cleaver and it's like, oh, Ward, why don't you being a little owl hard on the cleaver there? One of the lines, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. That is a very self-aware line in a slasher movie if I've ever heard one. The character of Shelley is incredibly irritating. Not even knocking the actor, because he actually played it pretty much to the hilt. I swear the Sleepaway Camp 4 took inspiration from the Shelley character, but by making him incredibly annoying to the point that you didn't care what the fuck happened. Yeah, it was inspiration in the same sense that I was inspired to hate everything besides Sleepaway Camp 1. So, all these friends travel on this trip. One of them is pregnant, and there's a white Tommy Chong and, his girlfriend, and Shelley likes one of the particular characters, despite the fact that he has no redeeming qualities as a character. They see bodies loaded up in an ambulance, as from the convenience store killing or the local market. General store, that's what I was looking for. Just keep going. Oh, there's an old man sleeping in the road and he has an eyeball and he holds it in front of the camera because 3D. This is Chris's old family home near Camp Crystal Lake, but it looks exactly the same, so whatever. And Chris is seeing things because she actually was attacked and besieged by Jason some time ago, even though she looked the same. Apparently this was a couple years ago. This must have been during the events of the first movie, or possibly before Jason donned any kind of, killing spree mindset, and he was trying to escape and maybe go get groceries for his mother, and that's what happened as the rabbit escaped. The rabbit ate the money, and he had to kill the grocery store owners for some reason. I'm blue skying it here at this point because I don't think the movie even wanted to do anything except heap on backstory and get to the point where it just made no sense. There are gangsters in this. 3 gangsters that all end up dead. Well, the one bald guy ends up dead at the end, getting his hand chopped off. The girl that pretty much was a prototype for Michelle Rodriguez, same down to the voice that sounded gruffer than The Exorcist. And then one other guy. They somehow managed to find these people instantly. This is after Shelley runs over the bike and then the biker punches out their windows with a chain, and then he tries to run him over. And this is really badly acted and stupid, and I hate it. The yo-yo 3D effects were kind of funny. Jason was in the barn, because why not? What else would Jason be doing? He did close the door because he was born in a barn. I think that's how that saying goes. And Jason kills again, finally, 40 minutes in. These characters were alive way too long. And he kills one gangster with a pitchfork, the Michelle Rodriguez prototype, and then kills the other guy with a pitchfork. And then there's a hayloft rope thing that, for hay bales, it will come back into play later. Rick doesn't understand why Chris has her walls put up, but that is because she gives a flashback story about when she ran into Jason. The juggling fruit 3D effects, and at this point the 3D effects were trying my patience, as was really the bad writing and bad acting, and pretty much everything about this. So the couple got high, went to the barn, it's fine, it's totally fine. I did like a little bit early on, though, when the gangsters got killed. You had the white guy that tried to steal the gas out of the van. That factors in a little bit later. He just rolled off and did a incredibly crisp diving crossbody straight out of the Ricky Steamboat playbook. That is a deep cut for wrestling fans and mind-numbingly confusing to everybody else who doesn't know what the fuck wrestling is. So, I hate Shelley is what I kept quoting. He's moronic and annoying. I couldn't wait for him to die. Also, a lot of the violence actually happens off camera. I mean, yes, people show up dead. People, like there are a few decent kills, but a lot of it will happen. Like the Michelle Rodriguez prototype is killed off camera and then impaled. Then the guy that does the diving crossbody, he's killed. For a slasher movie that has a decent body count, but also a surprisingly muted amount of blood. So we get the hockey mask 60 minutes in of a 95-minute movie, 5 of which were used for the end of the second movie, by the way, because they didn't have enough material. And they also probably felt that their entire audience was filled either with ADHD or sustained several major head injuries, just like the writers that wrote this. I'm fine. Don't worry. I'll be fine watching the rest of these. I'll probably only watch Final Chapter, by the way, because horror movie month, aka horror movie year, the entire year for me. And he was split down his crotch. That was kind of funny. I did note that at least one of the girls had nice tits. That's about it right there. That's my nice view and nice wording for the day. The architecture of this entire place is totally all over the map. Who came up with the spiral staircase idea? Are we in an old Victorian villa? And a Tom Savini article. Tom Savini, I believe, did the makeup effects for the 4th movie. He might have even done them for this one, because Tom Savini is a great makeup effects artist. And then the girl that was in the shower gets stabbed through the titty. Ow! Oh, ow! Not through the titty. Again, that does not look like stabbing at all. And everybody's being killed. Rick gets his eye popped out. There is somebody gets a poker through the chest. And then there is a sudden windstorm for some reason. It's like Mother Nature said, I can't bear to watch this take place on my planet. I'm doing something about it. And it's down to Chris and Jason. This takes a while. She starts slashing with the knife and everything. She's trying to kill the cameraman. Yes, kill him. Kill everybody. And then she basically tries to escape with the van, but the van had the gas taken out. There is a reverse reserve tank that vans have for some reason. I didn't know about this. And she starts to sink the van into the bridge, because evidently the bridge is like, I can't take the weight of this bullshit. They go to the barn. They fight. They fight and fight and fight. Fight. The Jason and Machete show. So he cuts off the hand of the black gangster. I think his name was Ali. I actually don't remember. I don't even remember the actor's name. Nothing against him. Cuts off his hand, so he somehow is alive, gets killed. Of course, it's so racist. As usual, the black guy dies last. I think that's how that cliche goes. She ends up finding a way to hang him off the loft, and he's... And then she opens the door. There's Jason. He wakes up, brings up the mask, and it's like, hi, I remember you, I think, or you remember me. And then, yeah, the gangster guy shows up. He gets killed. She stabs him hits him in the head with an axe. And then she's insane. That's it. Jason's mother, by the way, during this whole thing, attacks her while she's in a boat in a creek, literally, that looks like it's about 3 feet deep. It doesn't even look like you need a boat for this goddamn thing. But nevertheless, that ends up leading her to being all insane. And Jason is still alive, maybe, kinda, sorta, who knows? Anyway, yeah. Friday the 13th, Part 3. God, the more I rewatch these movies, the less I think of them. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin in 3D! See you soon.